Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Friday, August 7th, 2026. A convicted sex offender on probation was arrested on suspicion of failing to register as part of a trespassing investigation. On Tuesday at around 1:15 p.m., San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies responded to a report of trespassing and vandalism at a vacant home on Santa Fe Trail in Yucca Valley. During their investigation, deputies contacted a suspect they identified as Donald O'Day, a 70-year-old transient. O'Day was found to be a registered sex offender, and deputies determined he had failed to register with the state of California. They also found that O'Day had an active warrant for violating post-release community supervision. O'Day was taken into custody at the scene. Donald O'Day was arrested on suspicion of failing to register as a sex offender and violating parole. He is being held at the West Valley Detention Center without bail. A vegetation fire burned in Yucca Valley last night at around 8 p.m. San Bernardino County fire crews and the Bureau of Land Management responded to a report of a vegetation fire in the area of Choya Avenue and Golden Bee Drive in Yucca Valley. County Fire described the incident as a 1-acre blaze on a slope with a moderate rate of spread. The fire was extinguished by 9 p.m. No injuries were reported. At a recent Joshua Basin Water District meeting, the board had to discuss censuring their own sitting president, which proceeded with mixed results. Here with a look at what happened is online news editor Robert Hayden.
The Joshua Basin Water District holds their Board of Directors meeting every 2 weeks, where their 5-member board works directly with the district staff on projects and issues that surround the public agency, which are all laid out in an agenda delivered at least 72 hours before each board meeting. The Brown Act governs public meetings like the ones held bi-weekly at their offices in Joshua Tree, and when the agenda for their August 5th meeting was posted on July 30th, 2 items resulted in a relatively packed boardroom and a public comment period that speculated collusion with the county, possibly strained small-town relations, and ultimately a reorganized agenda that dropped the 2 items completely. Item 7A on the agenda is titled Consideration of Board Reorganization and Election of Officers, with the item immediately following it calling for, quote, censuring of Stacy Doolittle, who currently serves as the president of the board. The board reorganization and censure were number 7 on the agenda, but the 4th item would ultimately undo those. That's when the public can comment on things both on and off the agenda, which is another Brown Act requirement that was fully exercised at the Wednesday night meeting. 26 letters were also submitted to the board for the meeting, most praising Doolittle and asking the Water District for more background on the agenda items regarding her censure. As the meeting began, one of those people seeking clarification was the president herself.
I have procedural, due process, transparency, and fairness objections to the agenda.
Doolittle laid out 4 points, and among those, she said that she didn't have time to review the agenda with General Manager Sarah Johnson, something not required by meeting code, but something that she says has been customary for the last 7 months. She also asserted that the General Manager had available knowledge of what was going to be on the agenda via a July 21st email from Board Vice President Thomas Short, who requested the 2 items be added to the meeting. General Manager Sarah Johnson wasn't present at the board meeting and was on a previously scheduled excused absence while on vacation with her family, according to Director Tom Flowen. Director David Fick made a motion to eliminate both 7A and 7B from the agenda.
This is already one of the biggest mistakes our district has made in the last 3.5 years I've been on this board. And it's already embarrassing.
Doolittle seconded the motion, but Vice President Thomas Short, Director Tom Flowen, and Director Jane Jarlsberg all voted no. This pattern would continue with further motions by Fick and Doolittle to continue the agenda items until more information could be gathered. They even gave a motion to swap the censure and board reorganization, and here's Vice President Thomas Short clarifying the order.
The reason the consideration of board reorganization and election of officers is because I wanted this to be a discussion amongst the board about some behavioral patterns I have seen from the president of the board.
The agenda was approved as is, opening the floor to the public comment period and the ultimate withdrawal of both agenda items by Vice President Thomas Short just 26 minutes later.
I am the one that submitted the censure. I did this on my own volition without the county. And it's become clear to me now that I messed this process up. I've never censured anybody.
The path that meeting took through the public comment period is too long to cover in our radio version, but you can head to our website on Saturday to find a longer version of this story, but we'll also have the other items discussed at the board meeting.
We have to have a clarification of what the friction is between you and our general manager.
along with a very engaged public comment period.
I'd rather have a bossy Betty Demando Pants elected official who's trying to get to the bottom of the sewer system.
That will be at Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
The Joshua Tree National Park Association named this year's Minerva Hoyt Award recipient as Wade Crowfoot, the state of California's Secretary of Natural Resources. The Joshua Tree National Park Association gives the Minerva Hoyt California Desert Conservation Award every year to individuals or organizations who have made exceptional achievements in leadership, protection, preservation, research, education, and stewardship in ways that contribute specifically to the conservation of California's deserts. The JTNPA says that Secretary Crowfoot's stewardship of the California Natural Resources Agency has elevated desert conservation as a statewide priority. They cite one of his most consequential achievements in California's leadership role in establishing the Mojave Desert Sentinel landscape in 2024, a landmark 3.5 million acre collaborative conservation initiative spanning the western Mojave Desert. They also cite his involvement in the establishment of the Chuckwalla National Monument north of the Coachella Valley and adjacent to Joshua Tree National Park. The JTNPA will present Wade Crowfoot with the Minerva Hoyt Award in person at a ceremony later this year. Stay tuned for details. The City of 29 Palms Parks and Recreation Department is kicking off the new school year with a One Last Splash pool party today at Lucky Park. It's a free community event to celebrate one final evening of summer fun before students head back to the classroom. Guests can cool off in the pool while enjoying an exciting lineup of activities, including music, games, giveaways, food vendors, and more. Admission is free, and everyone is welcome to attend. Food will be available for purchase. The One Last Splash pool party is happening today from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Lucky Park Pool at 5885 Lucky Avenue in 29 Palms. Youngsters love bugs. The Beatnik Lounge knows this to be true and will be hosting a summer youth art workshop tomorrow with a focus on bugs. Kids of all ages will be invited to draw, paint, and even build your own steampunk-style bug. Supplies and snacks will be provided at this free event. Friends and family are welcome. The artworks created at tomorrow's event will be shown at an exhibition on August 15th. The Bug Making Art Workshop is tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Beatnik Lounge in Joshua Tree. They're located at 61597 29 Palms Highway in Joshua Tree. And finally, 29 Palms announced the dates and theme for the 90th annual Pioneer Days celebration. Set for the weekend of October 15th through October 18th, the beloved tradition will include a parade, a 5K, the infamous outhouse races, and more. The theme for this year's event is A Century in the Making, celebrating 100 years of the old schoolhouse, which will commemorate the centennial of the oldest public building in the Morongo Basin. The 90th annual Pioneer Days is presented by the Boladium Family Fun Center and supported by other organizations, including the Kiwanis Club of 29 Palms, Mountain View Ranch, Friends of the Historic Plaza, Rediscover 29, the 29 Palms Run Club, and Desert Ace Hardware. Stay tuned for the full schedule of events. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.